Greetings, mighty companions. Anna here, and this is Practical and Healing Applications of A Course in Miracles. Thanks for joining us here on Facebook, and thank you guys for coming out here at the Rocky Mountain Miracle Center. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to just spend about 5 minutes connecting to spirit, getting quiet, feeling spirit, and just allowing our minds to do something wild and crazy, like actually be here right now where we are. I know that sounds wild and crazy, but let's try it. So, if you haven't already, go ahead and close your eyes and take a breath. And just invite your mind to come back home to the right now. This perfect, precious, powerful, holy instant now. And breathe, and with your exhale, let go of everything that's not happening right now. Let it go. Let everything go that's not happening right here, right now. This is our time to allow our minds to just rest. Rest from planning, rest from analyzing, rest from judging, rest from defending. This is our time to allow our awareness to go within. Within, where the idea of loss is impossible. Just be here right now. What does right now feel like? What does it feel like to have your mind and your heart just be here right now? What does that feel like to just be here and not in the future, or not in the past, or not in judgment of something that happened in the past? What does that feel like to just have your mind and your heart be present to this moment now? Feel that. Say hi to yourself, your real self, your present moment and eternal self. Say hi. Hi, self. Oh, self, you feel so good. I love you. what does your present moment, eternal self feel like? We are remembering our real self. We are awakening back to our true self. That's the spiritual journey. That's the path that we're on. Not becoming something we're not, but remembering who we are right now and forever. Same thing. Us once more give thanks, give our gratitude to our true self. Thank you, true self. Thank you for being yourself. And see if you can let your gratitude to your real self fill your heart and flood your body, every cell in your body, with your gratitude for your real self, its perfection, its power, its beauty, how loving and lovable it really is. Truly, we are as our Creator created us. And breathe. Beautiful. And then when you're ready, take a breath and slowly bring your awareness back to the room. Back to your body. All right. Hi, Irene. Hi, Rhonda. Hi, Demi. Lovely to see you all. Right. So good to be back. Okay. So, first of all, I want to say thank you, my friend, for doing such a beautiful, brilliant, and loving job of, being a beautiful channel of the Course and keeping this holy circle going. Bless you. I'm very grateful. And I know that everybody here is too. Truly. Thank you. Okay. All right. So I did the random number generator prayer already before class. And what it came up with was lesson 76 in the workbook. So lesson 76 in the workbook, I am under no laws but God's. And boy, did I need this lesson today. Just like I needed that meditation. I needed this lesson so bad. I was so suffering today. Suffering from believing that I was under the laws of the world. The world, which is so often chaotic, inconsistent, incompetent. Every single call I made today was the most frustrating call I have ever been on. You know, somebody who doesn't speak English, they don't know what's going on. Could you hold, please? About 50 times, all day long. And I experienced that level of frustration that just kept rising and rising and rising until I thought I was going to scream. And then I hear Spirit say, surrender. Surrender. I was trying to fight with the so-called laws of the world. I was trying to fight with the world. Like, why can't anything work? Why can't anything work like it's supposed to? Right? Like fighting with the world. Like, why can't you go the way I need you to go? And all it led to was, me getting weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker in my frustration and in my anger. In other words, I was believing that my happiness had something to do with things going my way, that they would go smoothly, that they would go logically. Logically speaking, it shouldn't be too difficult to do da-da-da-da-da that I'm asking you to do, right? And so I was like, oh, and I did the meditation, did this, and I was like, yes, every single one of those interactions was an interaction where I was unconsciously believing that if this would go right, I would be happy. And I was humbled by how much I had given my happiness away. How much I had given it away. Like, wow, you think you have happiness? You do, and you were willing to throw it away on that phone call right there. So no, you don't. You haven't accepted real happiness yet. You don't have lasting happiness yet, or else you wouldn't be throwing it away, for something of no real consequence. Okay, and so he says, I'm under no laws but God's. Yes,
And you did this, ready, Anna?
Okay.
10/24/05.
10/24/05. Okay.
And 9/15/08.
And 9/15/08.
So it's been a while.
Yes.
Since I've heard it.
Since we've done it in class here.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Anna, I show that you did it on March 16th, 1920.
1920. Damn, I know I was feeling old today, but 2020.
Then I was
2020. All right.
We have been at home.
That's right.
Right after or right during.
I love it that you guys write down the dates. That's so very cool.
I missed
Yes, it's also a little embarrassing because to hear how many times I've done it. And still, I had a day like today where I felt like I looked like this all day. I didn't want to look in the mirror because I was afraid I looked like this. I was like, I need to go take a shower before class and hopefully, wash this off of my face. All right. Hi, Robin. Hi, lovely to see you. Thank you, Robin. My cousin Robin sent this, among other many beautiful things, to me the other day. So beautiful. All right. So here we go. We are on workbook lesson 76. I am under no laws but God's. And another way of saying that is I am under no laws but love's. So if it ain't a law that came down from love, then it's not a real law. Okay? Like today, I was like, if this doesn't go right, I can't be happy. Okay? That's not a law. Okay? That's no law that came down from on high, that if you have a day like I had, you can't be happy. If this doesn't go my way, I can't be happy. That's not a law. Okay? Now, it's the law of the world, but if it didn't come from love, it ain't a law. and you don't have to obey it. You do not have to be at the mercy of it. Okay. Now, it says, we have observed before how many senseless things have seemed to you to be happiness, to be freedom. So you see the word salvation? Salvation, according to A Course in Miracles, means happiness. It means freedom, and freedom from limitation. So so I may say happiness, I may say freedom when you see that word, okay? So we have observed before how many senseless things have seemed to you to be happiness. And each one of these things that seem to you to be happiness has imprisoned you with laws as senseless as that senseless thing itself. So that's what we're first talking about, is we have already been talking about all the senseless things that we thought would make us happy. Okay, he's already kind of inventoried and cataloged those in previous lessons, right? And everything that we thought would make us happy. Ooh, I'm going to go for this new job, that'll make me happy. Ooh, I'm going to go for this relationship, that'll make me happy. Oh, I'm going to go for this amount of money, that'll make me happy. Oh, if the person on the telephone would just, help me out, I'd be happy. Okay, these are all the many, many senseless things we thought would make us happy. But did it make us happy? No, not only did it not make us happy, it actually imprisoned us with laws as senseless as itself. Okay? And he says, you are not bound by any of these senseless things that you thought would make you happy. You're not bound by them at all. Okay? So just because it don't make me happy doesn't mean it can imprison me at all. Yet to understand that I'm not bound by these so-called laws of the world, to understand that this is so, I first must realize that happiness doesn't lie there. Okay? If I want to understand I'm not bound by this law of economics, law of nutrition, law of relationship, law of the world, to understand I'm not bound by that, I have to do what? I have to realize that happiness is not there. Okay? So today, to be released from the frustration and the anger that I was experiencing when I bound myself to those things today, I first had to go, oh yeah, not one single one of those things, if it had gone right, if it had gone my way, would have made me happy. Not one of them. Even if all those things today had gone my way, I still wouldn't have been happy. So for me to release myself from how I have hurt myself or imprisoned myself with those senseless things that I thought would make me happy, I have to realize happiness isn't there. Jerry! Hi, sweetie. Okay. Now, it says, while you seek for your happiness in things which have no meaning, here's what you're really doing. You're binding yourself to laws which make no sense. When you are seeking for happiness in things which have no meaning, okay, you're binding yourself to laws that make no sense. Okay, if I'm seeking for happiness in anything outside of myself, let's say I'm seeking for my happiness outside of myself in a relationship. Well, if happiness is outside of myself in a relationship, now I am bound by the laws of relationships. If I'm seeking for happiness outside of myself in money, now my happiness is bound to the laws of money. Now, according to how the money goes, that's as happy as I can be. Okay? So it says, while you would seek for happiness in things which have no meaning, you're binding yourself to laws which make no sense. And to think that my happiness is dependent on something that doesn't last forever is to bind myself to laws which make no sense. Okay? It's to say I can only be happy if, I can only be happy when. Okay? All right. Now, if you are experiencing anything but happiness right now, what it means is that you must have been seeking happiness in a thing that has no meaning. You must have been seeking your happiness in a form, in a person, place, or thing, something outside of yourself. So for a moment, just go within for a moment and go, okay, what is it right now that I'm not experiencing happiness around? Where is it that I'm not experiencing happiness and joy right now? Okay, that's the place where you have been seeking for happiness and freedom and love in a thing that doesn't last forever. Okay? Beautiful. All right. I love it. Demi says, contingencies on happiness. Exactly. Happiness contingency. And it says, when you are looking for happiness and freedom in things which make no sense, then you are seeking to prove that happiness and freedom and love is where it is not. I'm not feeling good right now, not feeling happy, not feeling love, not feeling abundant. I am looking for happiness and love and abundance where it is not. I'm looking for love in all the wrong places. Again. Thank you, honey. Again. That's what's going on. All right. Beautiful. Okay. Questions or comments? Yes.
The lesson this last week is salvation is my only function here.
Yes.
Opening sentence says salvation and forgiveness are the same. I'm trying to formulate a question around that, but it must tie right into this.
Absolutely. Happiness and salvation and love and freedom, all synonyms. So, and what is our function is to be happy. Our function is to be free. Our function.
The only way to be happy and free is to forgive, right?
Exactly. Okay. And also, according to this lesson, which is just saying the same thing a different way, the only way to be happy and free, as this is talking about it, is to look for happiness and freedom where it is, instead of where it's not. And because happiness and freedom and love and joy and abundance are built in as we were created by God, if we are not experiencing happiness, peace, love, joy in a lasting way, then it could only be because we're looking outside of ourselves, where happiness and love and peace and joy that last can never be found. That's the only thing that it could mean if you're not experiencing lasting joy and happiness and peace and abundance. It can't be that, well, maybe you were born without it. Or maybe you had it once when you were innocent, but then what you did on prom night made you lose it. Right? That's not what happened. What happened is that it's built in, but we're not looking within for it. We're not looking to our truth. We're not looking to our identity for it. We're looking in something outside of ourselves. And everything outside of ourselves that we think will make us happy comes with a bunch of rules, comes with a bunch of laws. Like, here's the laws of money. Here's the laws of right relationships. Here's the laws of economics. Here's the laws of medicine. Okay? If you think that your freedom, salvation, happiness is in medicine, now you are bound by the so-called laws of medicine. Okay, now you can only be happy and healthy if you do this amount and pay this amount and take it at the right time, and that's if you can get it. You see, if you're placing your happiness in something outside of you, now your happiness is bound to that. Your happiness is limited to that. Your happiness is limited. Can you get some? How much can you get? When can you get it? And then how long can you hold on to it? Okay? So,
And is China gonna ship it?
what'd you say? And what'd you say?
Is China gonna
And then
ship
is China going to ship it?
Yeah, probably not. Right now.
Right.
They probably
and
did,
not,
but
and probably
They
not.
probably did, but it's still sitting at the pier.
Yes, exactly.
Did they
That's
ship
right.
my happiness yet?
Exactly. Why is it that my happiness is so expensive? It's coming from China. It's stuck on a boat out there somewhere. And, and why does it cost so much to get it over here? And so when we see our happiness outside of us, literally now our happiness is contingent on the laws that rule that thing. Wow. Beautiful. And hallelujah that our happiness is under no laws but God's. It's not God that says you gotta wait for your happiness. It's not God's laws that say that you gotta earn your love. Those aren't the laws of God. The laws of God say you don't have to earn it, don't have to wait for it, don't have to find it, don't have to try to keep it. The laws of God for happiness and freedom and love and joy is I gave it to you, my beloved child. I gave it to you forever. I gave it to you with no exceptions or no conditions. It's yours forever. No one can take it from you, and you can't give it away. That's the laws of God relative to what a real happiness and real love and real freedom. Okay. That's what the laws of God ordain. You have it forever, you can't lose it, nobody can take it. And you don't have to pay for it, and you don't have to earn it.
Hence the frequent instructions, seek first the kingdom of heaven.
Exactly. Hence the instructions, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all else is added. That's exactly right. And so with that we could say, seek ye first the happiness God built into you, and then everything else will automatically make you happy. Like if you're already happy, then how do you experience everything? This is great. Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. That's great. That's wonderful. When you're already happy, then everything does is just increase your joy. When you're already happy as God created you. It's very radical concept to hear what A Course in Miracles tells us, that happiness is built in. That peace is a characteristic of us. Like as we were wired or created by God, literally peace and happiness is built in. It's so radical because from the moment we're born, we're taught, seek for your happiness outside of you, seek for it out there, seek for it out there, seek for it out there. No one ever told us it's already in you. You were created happy.
Okay, well, I'm lost. Probably like everybody here. Yes.
Well, you're in good company.
Yeah.
And I need, like so far in this lesson, I would need more than that. I can't just declare I'm happy.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like I'm just in denial. Like I deny this exists.
Yes,
So,
well, if you were to, the more honest statement would be, I am in denial about the happiness that I was created in.
Could be, but
Yeah.
But maybe I'm just too lost. And denial can be appropriate, right? Like I deny this has power.
Right, yes, right, that's right.
So, if I can take it back to the forgiveness process, it's kind of funny you're opening about calling places
Yes.
people didn't speak English. So today, Amber was up in my office today, and I was complaining about I have like 3 or 4 things going on in my life right now where I can't get them resolved.
Yes.
Car problem, a furnace problem, the typical stuff. I can't get
Yes,
them
I
resolved.
understand, yes.
And I was complaining to her like, why? What am I doing?
Yes. Yes.
Why am I creating this? Why am I hurling my unconscious guilt on it?
Yes.
Obviously, I'm not forgiving it. And now we'll see if these things resolve out.
Yes.
But to me, that's a mechanism that this thing provides to get back to happiness, as opposed to just.
Yes.
Otherwise, it kind of feels like I'm pouring pink paint on
Right.
a problem and going, I'm happy.
Right. Exactly. I don't get that the Course is asking us to do that, but I don't know if you were here when I was sharing, but that I was having that day where nothing was easy. It was every bit of it was just a struggle, and Spirit said, go do the lesson, go look up the lesson. And as I was reading it, what I realized was, I was being reminded of how much I had been investing my happiness outside of myself. And it took a day like today where nothing went right. Nothing. I mean, from the moment I woke up to it became funny, It's like laughing when I was telling Ray. I was like, and then this, and then that, and this, and that, and this. And it was becoming funny. But it was what I needed, apparently, to wake me back up to how I had been investing my happiness. Like, I'll be happy if this goes right. I'll be happy if I get my way here. I'll be happy if this. And I had gotten out of balance. I had gotten out of balance with seeking, going within for my peace. And so Spirit said, do your lesson and surrender. And then I went to my yoga mat, and it was like, oh yeah, this is the first time in a freaking week that I've basically gone within, got quiet, and just like went and did yoga and went within with the truth and listened to the truth. So I had been going out so much in my thinking, okay, well, once this gets done, I'll be happy. Once this gets done, I'll be happy. Once this gets done, I'll be happy. I had a list this long. And so that today, it took all that, took a whole day of that for me to go, oh yeah, I got, and this lesson. So, yeah. So maybe you were like, well, why is it why I can't get this resolved? For me, the answer was this. I
love
way
this
out of balance.
idea of surrender. I mean, that's
Yes, exactly.
I'll remember that more often.
Yeah.
So.
Or call back and get a different agent. Try somebody else. They have different answers a lot
Yes.
of times. I'm serious.
I know. Absolutely.
I used to deal with the airlines.
Yeah.
But I'm not
Well, I'm
saying
sure
it's
that, literally, like, once you do this, once you're like, okay, I have definitely been deceiving and deluding myself, thinking, once this gets done, I'll be happy. Once this gets done, I'll be happy. Once this gets done, I'll be happy. If this would just happen like I need it to happen, then I'll be happy. I've been so out of balance, so like, like a get shit done machine, to the point where when I got on my yoga mat, I realized, wow, the first time in a whole week, my God.
Have you told them?
All right, great. So here we go. So that was paragraph 1. Okay. Beautiful. Bridget says, fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
I love it. Exactly. Fake it till you make it. All right. Hi, Kenneth. Hi, Peter. Lovely to see you. And hi, Tricia. Okay, so to paragraph 2. Today, we are going to be glad that we cannot prove that happiness is outside of us in things and people and places. Because if we could prove that happiness was outside of us, then we would be forever seeking where happiness is not, and we would never find it.
Yeah, I like that.
So,
Things.
thank God today nothing went right. Thank God I could not find, thank God nothing went right. Thank God I could not find my happiness in anything that happened today. Because I no telling how long I would have continued on with the get shit done, mode of like, you know, happiness is crossing things off my list. So we're gonna, what does it say? We're gonna be glad that we cannot prove that happiness is in things outside of us going our way. It says the idea for today tells us once again how simple is happiness. How simple is peace of mind. How simple is freedom. How simple it is. Okay? There's not an instruction manual where you gotta put stuff together. How simple happiness is. How simple is happiness? It's like this. Look for happiness where it waits for you, and there it can be found. Okay, that's pretty simple. It doesn't get any simpler than that. Look for it where it's what? Waiting for you. Notice it didn't say look for it where it is. It said look for it where it's waiting for you. That thought had not crossed my mind that my happiness was sitting there waiting for me. Anna, when are you coming home? Anna, I love you. I'm your happiness. I'm waiting for you. I've made you some nice warm soup. I have exactly what you need right now. Our happiness is waiting for us someplace. And that's how simple happiness is. What does it say? Look for it where it's waiting for us, and that's where you'll find it. So simple. It's so simple, it just makes our complex, convoluted brains just blow a fuse. And so, what's the practicality of this is, where is it right now that you're not experiencing happiness? Where is it right now that you're not experiencing freedom and joy? Where is that in your life? Okay, that's where you want to stop looking for it wherever you've been looking for it and not finding it, and go within where it's waiting for you. Stop doing what you've been doing and go where it's waiting for you. Okay. And where is it waiting for us? In our quiet, non-doing minds. Okay. All right. And where is it waiting for us? It's waiting for us in something that we must have right now. It's it's something I must have right now. Okay, where could that be? Right. Very simple. It sounds too simple to be true. It's so frustrating. It's like ego's like, no, it's gotta be more complicated than that. It can't be. I already have it, and it's just there, and I just gotta accept it and go with it. Like you were saying, that sounds too like denial. Yeah, and it's not saying to say I am happy. It's saying it's not where I thought, not where I've been looking for it. It's somewhere waiting within me, and I would now like to find it. Okay.
And I've also found when you make that list and you go through it all day and say it does go okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the next day, I don't even remember what it was I did, and it didn't necessarily make me happy.
Exactly.
I don't even remember that it was any kind of happiness at all.
Exactly.
So I crossed it off and
Right.
got done, and then I'm like, well,
Exactly.
I don't even remember what I did. I should have been quiet, done other thing, been more joyful, and not worried about everything getting done, because it didn't make me happy anyway.
Exactly.
Even though it went the way I wanted it
Even
to.
when it
So I don't
did
know what to
go,
say.
even when it
Yeah.
did
I
go
forgot
the
what it
way,
did that made
it didn't make you happy.
it was happiness for so short,
Right, exactly.
not lasting.
Yes,
It's like a sugar spike.
exactly,
Yes.
like a sugar spike.
Like those cookies.
It is like a sugar spike because just like a sugar spike, for a moment there's a momentary feeling of
Ooh,
relief,
real high.
but then you go down lower because the illusion that your happiness is in things going right has been bumped up, has been supported. So that's why he's saying we're going to be glad that nothing that you did nothing that you did made you happy. We're going to be glad about that instead of being like, you know, if this were different, I would be happy. Instead of that, we're going to be like, thank God that didn't make me happy. Thank God that didn't make me happy. Thank God I had a terrible day. Thank God I had a terrible day. Why? Because it set it up where I wasn't continuing in that delusion that if I could just scratch more things off my list that I'd be happy. And it's a total delusion, because just like you said, even when things work out the way you wanted them to, you're not happy. You don't scratch something off of your list and go, let me just enjoy that for a moment. Let me feel how good that feels. That feels so good. It's so wonderful. Let me just sit here and enjoy that. We never do that. We get what we want, you
Move
know,
on to the next
and
thing.
we're just like, we don't even stop a moment to go, yeah, that's wonderful. Good job, self. Very nice. Good job. Thank you, self. Good job. We don't even do that, you know.
But it is, I found that it is helpful to do that.
Very helpful to do that.
To acknowledge
Exactly.
when things go the way I wanted
Exactly.
to. Yes, Spirit, bring me more of that.
Exactly. That is a good thing, you know, that when things do go your way, thank yourself. Thank whatever part of you loved you enough to let you have something easy, let you have something. Okay? You know, and the more that we actually allow ourselves to actually feel the enjoyment, the pleasure, or whatever it is, the good feeling is, the more we allow ourselves to feel it when things actually do go our way, then the more they're going to go your way. So.
I'd like to add something there, though. There may be a spiritual lesson behind when things don't go your way.
Exactly. That's right.
You can get in touch with that. It's like,
Yes.
because something goes your way doesn't mean that's what's spiritually best for you.
That's right.
So,
Exactly.
when they don't go your way, then it's like, okay, what's the message here?
Exactly.
And without flying off the handle and getting angry, or even if after you do, when you come back down, go, okay, what was the message? There probably was a good reason why I didn't get what I wanted.
Exactly. And that's why, notice the first line is the instruction. Today we will be glad that you couldn't prove that happiness was where you thought it was. So it's literally saying the appropriate response when things don't go your way, when things that you thought were going to make you happy did make you happy, the most appropriate, aware response is, thank God that did not make me happy. Thank God that did not go my way. Thank God that didn't go my way.
Can I add one more element to this? I mean, if the script is written and all we're doing is mentally reviewing what's already happened, then the script is going to go the way it's going to go.
That's right.
Now, in this group, I feel like I'm the only one that ever brings up the script, and I don't.
That's why we call you behind your back script dude.
Yeah, script dude. But and it's only like in a couple places in here, but it's very clear that you know, I mean, the script is going to go the way it's going to go, and your job is to.
Right, but our power is we decide how long we want it to take. You know, the script is written, a happy outcome to all things is sure, but we are actively deciding how long we want that to take, and whether we want that script, that happiness outcome to be longer or shorter.
Until we learn the lesson, right? So-
Yeah, how long do you want to take to learn that lesson? That's where our decision has power. So, you know, It's not like, yeah.
The script is written insofar as we've already been told what the end point is. We return back to our
Yes.
awareness of where we began. It doesn't say anything about what path each one of us is going to take, and a lot of that is up to us.
That's right.
Yeah, and I guess this is wide open to interpretation, right? And the script stuff in here, because it's not really very well explained. I guess the way I've interpreted it is that we have a choice with the decision maker, right? Choose right mind or wrong mind. If we choose wrong mind, we're going to stay stuck in the hamster wheel until we learn it. We choose the right mind, forgive, we fast forward to the, I guess, next hamster wheel. I don't know. Is that-
The next lesson.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
And then dreams get happier and happier and happier.
That's right.
Because we're getting them.
Yes.
So I was just trying to make sure that to discern the difference between the state, the script as a state in which we were told we will experience at the end, but the script has there are multiple scripts, multiple timelines that we can participate in based on our choices, the decisions that we make along the way.
Yes.
So it's not just one story.
It's not just one
Not just
script.
once.
Yeah, but that script doesn't really explain it much in the book, right? And I you know.
Well,
Well,
I'm not-
it's implied, I think, in the idea that miracle principle about miracles are the one device at our disposal to control time. And when I have a experience a miracle, change perception from fear to love, if I've now made either some incremental breakthrough progress on some issue that I've been working on for how many lifetimes, or just this one, there may be thousands of years of running on that hamster wheel that I don't have to do anymore.
I think we're saying the same thing. Yeah, right. That you can take a detour into fear, right?
Yes.
As opposed to just going right past it.
And then let's hear again, the happiness that we could have now. The happiness that we could have now. The happiness that we could have now. Okay? Why? Because we're not under any laws. We're not under the laws of time. We're not because we're under no laws but God's, and the laws of time is not a law of God. And so because we're not under the laws of time, we can experience happiness right now, and happiness that lasts forever. Okay? Why? Because we're under no laws but God's. We're under no laws but love's. Now, then it says, think of the freedom. Think of the freedom in the recognition that we are not bound to all the strange and twisted laws that we have set up to save ourselves. Thank God. Look at the freedom. You mean I'm not bound by the laws of money? I'm not bound by the laws of time. I'm not bound by the laws of nutrition. I'm not bound by the laws of immunization. I'm not bound by the laws of the world. That talk about freedom. And it's saying that all the laws of the world are strange and twisted. All the strange and twisted. Unless you eat this, you can't be healthy. Unless you don't eat this, you can't be healthy. Unless you have this much money in the bank, you can't feel safe. You can't be abundant. Unless you have another body with you, you can't be happy. Okay? So then it says, let's review some of the strange and twisted laws of the world, shall we? Okay? See if you recognize these strange and twisted laws. Okay? They're not just regular laws. They are strange and twisted laws. Like, for instance, you really think that you will starve unless you have stacks of green paper strips and piles of metal discs. It's saying that's a strange and twisted law. We're like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're right. That's. He goes, no, that's not a real law. That's a strange and twisted law. That's not a law of God. That's not a law of love. That's a strange and twisted law. If you don't have enough money, you're going to starve. Okay. How about another strange and twisted law? You really think that a small round pellet, like a pill, or some fluid pushed into your veins through a sharpened needle, like vaccination, will ward off death. There's another strange and twisted law. Right, exactly. Okay, if I don't take pills and I don't get vaccinations, then I'm gonna die.
Get a disease.
Well, that's a popular, strange and twisted law. So you hear all the laws of the world. A Course in Miracles is calling strange and twisted. Okay. Yeah, how about another strange and twisted law? We really think that we are alone unless another body is with us.
That's a huge one.
Woohoo! And he's calling it a strange and twisted law. Okay, in other words, it's not really a law. It's just a belief. All the so-called laws of the world, they're not laws. They're just beliefs that you are limited. That's all they are. And all the laws of the world, all they are is the belief that you are guilty and that you deserve to be punished. That's what the so-called laws of the world really represent. They don't represent laws of the universe, natural law. Those aren't natural law. That's a manifestation of our belief that we're guilty, limited, mortal, fallible, and full of sin, and deserve to be punished. That's what they represent, the laws of the world. Now, I love that one. That the so-called law that if you are alone, that if you don't have another body with you, you're alone. That ain't no law. That's a strange and twisted belief that isn't true. Wow, isn't that beautiful? Yes.
Okay, so what I'm trying to get it all to is, okay, so I get those beliefs that, if you don't take the immunizations, if you don't medication, you can die, you can't die. But on the other hand, if we're living in this planet right now, and we're living in these bodies, if I do take medicine or do things, it makes me more comfortable. It doesn't mean I'm not gonna die.
That's right.
Because I'm going in for some injections tomorrow that will help my knees feel better.
Right, exactly.
So that's not wrong because it hurts right now.
Right.
And if it can do it, great.
Absolutely.
I'm all for that.
Absolutely.
But I don't think that I'm trying to find happiness in, well, I kind of am because
Well, you won't
I will be
feel
happy.
better.
I would be happy if my knee didn't hurt.
Yeah, if they can find something
Right.
that they're working on, then
Right.
I am happy and it makes my life better.
Right, exactly. Well, you experience temporary relief,
Yes.
but it's not happiness, because happiness, according to A Course in Miracles, is something that isn't bound by how your knee feels. So, and just because it's saying that you're not bound by that, so all it's saying is that it's not saying don't take the injection in your knee that helps your knee to experience less pain. What it's saying is that it's not a law that that whatever's going on in your body is something that you are limited to and by.
Because there's so much more.
Exactly, and so it's not a law that if you have something going on with your knee, that the only way that you can experience healing, peace, joy around that is to do what the world offers. In other words, you're not bound by what your body says is going. You're not bound by the laws of medicine, the physical laws. That's what it's saying. I'm not bound by physical laws. Now, that doesn't mean that if there's something that helps my physical to feel better that I'm not going to do it. It's just a reminder that that's not a law and I'm not bound by that.
So like if it didn't help. It doesn't mean that that's it for me. I just, I won't be able to be happy ever again.
Exactly.
If this doesn't go away.
Exactly. It's exactly what it's saying is, let's say you couldn't get the injections for your knee.
Or it doesn't work.
Or it doesn't work in your knee. It's saying that the laws of God say that's not your only option. God's like, I'm not limited by whether you can get an injection in your knee or whether it works. I'm not limited by that, and I didn't create you to be limited by that.
But we're programmed to think that.
And
That's the
so
problem.
that's what it means, that I'm under no laws but God's, So that's a really good question. Does that answer your question at all?
Yeah, I
Yes.
do think it, because also when your body is painful, it's distracting.
I was just going to
Very
say that.
And it's hard to concentrate on things.
Exactly, and A Course in Miracles has something very specific and important to say about medicine. And what it says is that all healing is a reduction of fear. And it says so. If for someone to not take medicine, if taking medicine reduces one's fear, then its value, its helpfulness is self-evident. And if not taking the medicine increases your fear, that's not helpful. So you don't want to go, well, I'm not under no laws but God's, and it's all my mind, so I'm not going to take those injections in my knee. But that idea increases fear, then it's not helpful. It's not healing.
Now that makes sense.
Yes, and so it says, until you know and the power of your mind to change anything in the physical, he says, then you should not rely completely on your mind. He says, until you trust the power of your mind and know the power of your mind to do it completely, he says, you do the compromise approach. And literally says the compromise approach, where you take that thing in the physical that helps to reduce your fear, so that your mind can then more easily do the real healing. Okay? So when the mind that's not afraid is the mind whose power is remembered. So I have a whole countertop full of a compromise approach that I call supplements.
It doesn't work.
Yeah. That help to reduce the fear in my mind, that enables my mind to have a healthier illusion, a healthier communication device, a healthier body. A body that, even though it's an illusion, still has a useful purpose as a communication device. Okay? Great question. Really good question. Thanks for asking an authentic question. Like, what about that? So, you're going to say something?
I was just going to comment that the twisted laws of the world, I think part of what that means is that our conscious minds, are constantly in mixing up the spirit level and the physical
Yes, that's
level.
right. Mm-hmm.
And we make up laws to try to explain what it
Yes.
is we seem to experience.
Exactly.
Like the medicine, what you were just saying.
Yes.
The real healing comes from releasing unconscious guilt and fear,
Yes.
or even conscious guilt and fear in our minds.
Yes.
And so this, as you said, is just reminding us that just because that's the way it looks here, and just because that's the way we've been told it's happening, it's not really a law. It's not a real law.
Right. Exactly. It's not a law that I have to take vitamin C in order to not get COVID.
Or get a cold.
Or to get a cold, right. But if taking vitamin C helps me to reduce the fear of it, then its value is evident. the medicines, the Course in Miracles calls the medicines and all the outside things magic. Magic. So in other words, it's like, I am taking this magic to help my mind feel less afraid so that my mind can do the real healing. You know, of course, Miracle says all healing is mental healing. All healing is released from fear and guilt. But I'm not there yet. I'm not. You know, first of all, still got a lot of fear and guilt, as evident by my day today. So that got me right on out of denial. I'm definitely not enlightened. Okay. So I still have a lot of fear and guilt. And I don't totally know the power of my mind to change anything in form. And so I still need those as magic. I still need those compromise approach. I still need the magic. Okay. So what I do is I go take my supplements and then I do my workbook lesson. That's what I do, you know. And then I go, oh look, the supplements worked. Right. And the Course in Miracles says that when I've let go of the fear and guilt in my mind, then whatever I take in form is going to work. But if I haven't let go of the fear and guilt in my mind, then nothing I take is going to work. Okay? So we're still doing the compromise approach, where we take the things that we think will help from the external, while at the same time doing the real healing work, which is releasing, allowing the guilt and fear in our minds to be corrected by spirit, by love. Okay. Yes?
It does seem, it's interesting, because I've been running into so many people that have something going on. Everybody's got something. I mean, it's physical, or I've got headaches, I've got this, I've got that, and I'm trying this, and I'm trying that, they'll say, and then I'm going to get an injection of this. That doesn't work. They never, like you say, no one goes to where maybe the issues are, what the real problems are. They're always trying to fix it superficially.
Yes, right.
Everyone I run into, and they're not just all my age.
Well, that's what
including us.
Western medicine
They
is
are
based
younger,
on treating
too.
symptoms,
Exactly.
not causes.
Exactly.
That's right. See, treating symptoms, of course, in Miracles calls magic. Magical spells. Magical spells.
They don't get to the root of what the
if you're not getting to the root of the sickness, which is the mind, and as a matter of fact, it's gonna actually go to the root. So let's press on, because it's gonna go to the root here. Okay, he says it is insanity that thinks these things, and unless you have fluid pushed into your veins, that you'll die. If you're the idea that you're alone unless another body's with you, it's insanity that thinks these things. Now you call them laws, and you put these strange and twisted laws under different names and a long catalog of rituals that have no use and serve no purpose. In other words, you think you must obey the so-called laws of medicine. You think you must obey the so-called laws of economics, the so-called laws of health. In other words, you think protect the body and you'll be saved.
Yep.
That's what we believe. If my body's safe enough, then I will be saved. That's and what did he call it? He goes, that is insanity that thinks these things. What is insanity? You call laws and put them in a long catalog of rituals that you think you must obey. Wow. Now, he says, these are not laws, but madness. The laws of medicine, laws of economics, laws of health. These are not laws, they're madness. The body is endangered by the mind that hurts itself. Drop the mic. The body is endangered by what? The mind. The mind that does what? The mind that hurts itself. Okay. Tell us more that we don't believe, Course in Miracles. The body suffers that the mind will fail to see it is the victim of itself. Dang. oh, that's why I'm suffering. I thought I had gotten a cold. I thought I got a virus. That's what I thought I had, arthritis. No, my body is suffering so that my mind won't see that my mind is the victim of itself. I'm not a victim of the virus. I'm not a victim of economics. I'm not a victim of the Federal Reserve. I'm not a victim of the politicians. I'm not a victim of climate change. I'm not a victim of my genetics. My body is suffering so that my mind won't see it's a victim of itself. In other words, the body's suffering is a mask. The body's suffering is a mask. What kind of mask? The mask that my mind is holding up to hide what's really suffering. Woo! My body is suffering to hold up a mask to hide my mind that's really suffering. Wow, I want to hide that it's my mind that's really sick. I want to hide that. I don't want to see that my mind is sick. I don't want to see that. It's ugly. It's embarrassing. I don't want to see that. I don't want to look at it. It's ugly. It's scary. And so I'm gonna come up with some body stuff. I'm gonna come up with some body suffering stuff. So that I go, oh man, I got the virus. Oh man, I got bad genes. I got bad genetics.
So what is it the mind is sick with? What are we?
Guilt.
Guilt and fear.
Guilt and fear. The mind is suffering with guilt and fear.
And holding grievances.
Holding grievances. Anger.
Okay, that one I got. That one I got.
Yeah, check.
I didn't understand.
Okay.
Doesn't mean I didn't have them.
Right, exactly. Check. Right, the mind. I don't want to look to see that I'm suffering in my mind. I don't love myself. I don't think I'm good enough. I think I'm inadequate. I think I'm a loser. I don't think I'm lovable. I think it's too late for me. I'm defective. In other words, guilt and fear. My mind is suffering. I don't love myself. I don't feel good enough. I think there's something wrong with me. My mind is suffering. But I don't want to look at that because it's ugly. It's it's embarrassing or whatever. I'd rather be in denial. I'd rather have a mask that hides the suffering in my mind, and I'm willing to have my body get sick just to hide that.
And even
Whoa.
so far as wishing to die. Really.
Exactly.
Yeah, you
And
didn't go beyond
it goes exactly on to say that. It says the mind doesn't want to understand that the mind is its own enemy. The mind doesn't want to understand. Let's say my mind doesn't want to understand that my mind is attacking itself and my mind wants to die. In other words, if your mind is attacking itself, you're not good enough. You're a loser. You're a failure. You're unlovable. You're unloving. It's too late for you. That is the same. That's your mind attacking itself. It's the same as saying your mind wants to die.
It does kind of want you. Your mind is terrified, and it just wants to shut down forever.
Yes, exactly. Seeing this in our mind is our greatest fear, because it's the one thing your ego says, if you look within and you look at what's in your mind, then you will rush to death by your own hand. So don't do it. That's why the ego is always saying, don't look within, don't look within, don't look within, don't look within, because if you look within, you're going to see your mind is suffering, not your body, not your life, not your relationships, not your bank account. Your mind is suffering, not your body, not your bank account, not your relationships, not your world. It's your mind that's suffering. Your mind hates itself, is attacking itself all day long, and your mind wants to die.
And that's because the Course teaches us that we actually believe that we separate ourselves from God and from each other.
That's right, exactly. Exactly.
And there's so much guilt and fear around that.
Yes,
that
exactly.
We've stuffed it down. in a dark place where
Yeah.
we can deny it,
Exactly.
and having a body and
Yes.
having a chaotic world keeps us distracted from looking
Yes.
where the real problem is.
Exactly. And you're saying, that the thing that we're trying to hide is that we feel guilty because we've separated from God. And what I heard when you said that was, is that, in other words, my mind believes that it's evil. My mind, down, 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 down in the dark, dark, dark corners, and the ego's cornerstone down in the dark, 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 dark vaults locked away, is I believe that I'm evil. And so I don't, and who's gonna feel like they're evil and not suffer? Who's gonna feel like they're evil and be like, woo, I love being evil. It's great. No, if there's guilt in there and you, in the dark, dark, in there, you feel evil, then you can't be happy. You can't see yourself as guilty, separate and alone, and not suffer. And so a mind that feels guilty, a mind that feels alone, a mind that feels like it's separate from source and others, that's a mind that is suffering. You can't be alone and feel guilty and evil and not be suffering if you're a mind. Okay.
So do you think that people that come across as healthier a lot of the time are their mind is that's part of what their joy, and they don't have to be sick?
Yes, if all the other parts of their life are healthy also. Like if their relationships are healthy, and their work is healthy, and their relationship with money is healthy. So, it's not
you
just
have to look at the whole thing.
Exactly. Our jobs and our relationships are also an extension of our bodies, in a way. So yeah. If your mind is suffering with guilt and fear and separation and loneliness, then your mind is suffering, and then there's going to be, and then your mind is going to mask it with something physical that's not working right. They don't feel good, whether it's your finances, your body, your relationship, your world.
It's part of the script, Julie.
So it just doesn't have to be your health.
It doesn't
You
have
can
to be.
look healthy, and
yes,
you can have a crappy job, or
absolutely.
you
Oh, yeah.
hate your job,
Absolutely.
but you're still staying.
Yeah.
You're suffering
Absolutely.
it in another way. Then it doesn't
Absolutely.
comes in all forms. Then.
Absolutely.
So we're all
Absolutely.
screwed.
So you could say,
So we're all screwed.
well, I don't remember it saying that there, and that we're all screwed kind of sounds like,
It's there.
now that is a strange and twisted law of the ego.
But that we're screwed.
Yes. That you're screwed. That's the ego's law. It's like,
Okay.
da
take
da da
that
da
word
da da da.
out.
What I'm trying to
Out.
say here is you're
Take that
screwed.
out.
You're screwed, so just give up.
Yes. In
Take
other
that
words,
out of my-
in other words, life's a bitch and then you die. That's
Okay.
the ego's law. Or you could say that's the world's law. Remember it's talking about the ego's laws, they're strange and twisted. And a strange and twisted law is life's a bitch and then you die. Okay? And this is saying you're not under any of the ego's laws. You're not under the world's laws, you're not under the ego's laws. So where your ego says you're doomed, you're screwed, life's a bitch and then you die, when the world says the only thing certain in life is death and taxes, those are the strange and twisted laws of the world, of the ego, that we are not under, but we have been so deeply programmed. We have been so deeply conditioned, like robots from birth, over lifetimes conditioned, that, well, this is the law. Death and taxes, that's the law, honey. Nobody is safe from that law. Okay, is another one of those strange and twisted laws that we call laws, but they ain't laws. Okay, so and that's the good news. Whatever idea you come up with that doesn't make you happy, you need to tell yourself, but I'm under no laws but God's. So when you're like, oh crap, I wrecked my car, oh no, and now I gotta now my insurance is going to go up, and now I'm here, and I can't afford a new car, and now I'm going to be without a car, and and I'm under no laws but God's. It's not a law of God that if you mess up over here, if this happens, you're screwed. See? And all unhappiness is the belief that, well, if this happens and that happens and this happens, I'm screwed. I can't be happy. You know, the ego tells you, you got this health problem, you can't be happy. You got this financial problem, you can't be happy. You got this relationship problem, you can't be happy. You know you can't be happy if you got problems. That's the strange and twisted law of the ego. If you got problems, you can't be happy. And this is saying, no, that's the ego law, but ego law ain't an ego law. It's just a belief that you're guilty and you deserve to be punished.
Well, and when these things come up, you can say, I need to look at this another way. This is a lesson. I don't know why it's happening, but it's happening, and I'm going to look at it without going nuts about it.
I'm under no laws but
exactly.
God's.
And you look
and
try another way.
What would God's law say? God's law would say, oh, that was just a mistake. No worries. You still deserve total peace and protection and prosperity and love. Moving right along. That's what the laws of God say.
Yeah.
The laws of God say that nothing can take away from you your inherent right, your inheritance of constant happiness, constant abundance, constant supply. That's the law of God. That no car accident, job problem, health problem, relationship problem can take away from you what your Creator gave you forever. That's the law of God. Okay? So anytime we're upset, we're believing that we have to obey the laws of the ego that say, you got that problem, you have to be unhappy, you're screwed. That's the ego. That's the ego God's mantra. You're screwed. Okay, here we go. Then it says this. It says, and it is from your mind's attacking itself, your mind's suffering, and your mind's wish to die, it is from this that your so-called laws would save your body. And it's because of it's for your mind's wish to die that you think you are a body. But here's the good news, paragraph 6. There are no laws except the laws of God. And this needs repeating. How many times? Over and over until you realize that this law applies to everything that you have made in opposition to God's law. In other words, your so-called magic has no meaning. And what your magic was meant to save doesn't exist. What was your magic meant to save? The body. Only what your magic was meant to hide will save you. The laws of God can never be replaced. Okay? Nothing can thwart the laws of God. Not even COVID. It says, and so we will devote today to rejoicing that this is so, that the laws of God can never be replaced. You can't break the laws of God. Sorry, but this mistake you made today, COVID, this car accident, this sickness, this job problem, cannot break the laws of God. You ain't that bad. Wow, you can break the laws of God. You bad. It says, so we're going to spend today devoted to rejoicing that that's so. It is no longer a truth that we want to hide. We realize instead it's a truth which keeps us free forever. Magic imprisons, but the laws of God set free. The light has come because there are no laws but God's laws. And we will begin the longer practice periods today with a short review of some of the different kinds of so-called laws we have believed we must obey. And these so-called laws we have believed we must obey would include, for example, the laws of nutrition, the laws of immunization, the laws of medication, the laws of the body's protection in innumerable ways. Think further. You believe in the laws of friendship. You believe in the laws of so-called, quote, good relationships and reciprocity. Perhaps you even think that there are laws which set forth what is God's and what is yours. And many so-called religions have been based on this: what's God's, what's mine. And these so-called religions would not save but damn in heaven's name. Yet these so-called religions are no more strange than other laws you hold must be obeyed to make you safe. There are no laws but God's. So dismiss all foolish magical beliefs today. How do you do that? Hold your mind in silent readiness to hear the voice that speaks the truth to you. And if you'll do that, you will be listening to one who says that there is no loss under the laws of God. What does that mean? That means under the laws of God, payment is neither given nor received. Under the laws of God, exchange cannot be made. And under the laws of God, there are no substitutes. And under the laws of God, nothing is replaced by something else. What does that mean? That means God's laws forever give and never take. For instance, God's laws never go like this. Well, if you want to have some love, you got to give up some of something. If you want some of this, then you got to give up some of that. And if you want to have this, then so-and-so has to give it up. And for you to have something, somebody has to lose something. Okay? God's laws never say that you got to give something to receive something. You got to pay for something. If you want some of this, you got to exchange some of that. Okay? God's laws do what? God's laws forever give and never take. So God's laws go like this. You all deserve it all the time. No exceptions, no conditions, period. For you to have anything has nothing to do with somebody else losing something, or vice versa. God's laws never, what does he say? He says, God's laws, there is no loss. No one needs to lose anything to gain anything. No exchange needs to be made. No payment needs to be made. No loss needs to happen so that you can have something over here. No substitutes, right? The substitute like, well, since so-and-so took the punishment, you're off the hook. Since so-and-so replaced you took the punishment you deserved, then you're scot-free. You recognize that replacement? Anybody? Yeah. Under the laws of God, nobody has to lose or give up anything to receive it all. Never, ever. God's laws never say, well, if you want some love, you got to give up some of your freedom. You got to give up your innocence. Okay? What does it say? Under the laws of God, there is no loss. So if ever you're hearing any kind of so-called law that entails some kind of loss for somebody at some time, it ain't a law of God. It's a strange and twisted so-called law of the ego. It ain't God's law. Wow. All right. Okay. So it says, so hear the voice for God who tells you this, and realize how foolish are the laws you thought upheld the world you thought you saw. And then listen further, because the voice for God would tell you more. The voice for God, if you're listening, will tell you about the love your Creator has for you. That's all you're going to hear about. And if you're listening to the voice for God, the only thing you're going to hear is about the endless joy that your Creator's offering you, And the only other thing you're going to hear if you're listening to the voice for God is about God's yearning for you, God's only creation, created as God's channel for creation, denied to God by God's belief in hell. Okay, so it's very difficult to believe because we've all been programmed that if you're listening to the voice of God, God's going to tell you what you got to give up, right? If you listen to God, don't listen to God, because God's going to tell you what kind of sacrifice you need to make. And it's always going to be something you don't want to do. So don't listen for the voice of God, right? That's what we've been taught about God. He's saying if you listen to the voice for God, the only thing you're going to hear is not what you got to give up, to have God's love. All you're going to hear is, I love you totally and completely. I love you. All you're going to hear about is how much your Creator loves you. All you're going to hear about is God's endless joy that God's offering you. All you're going to hear about how much God is yearning for you, that you're God's channel for creation. That's all you're going to hear. And if you are hearing anything about loss or sacrifice or exchange or payment or anything like that, you ain't hearing the voice for God. You're hearing the voice of the ego. Who's all about payment, all about sacrifice. And you ain't hearing the voice for love. So whenever you hear anything talking about loss, sacrifice, exchange, and payment, you are not hearing the voice for love. Don't believe it. Remember, I'm under no laws but love's, and love would never say that. Okay. All right. Okay, we got one more paragraph. I'm going to go through it and then we'll be done. So, it says, so let us today open up ourselves, God's channels to God. In other words, let's let God's laws extend through us. Thus is creation endlessly increased. God's voice will speak of this to us. God's voice will also speak to us of the joys of heaven, which God's laws keep limitless forever. So what we're going to do today is we're going to repeat today's idea until we have listened, which means until we have understood that there are no laws but God's. And then we're going to tell ourselves, as a dedication with which the practice period concludes, I'm under no laws but God's. And then we're going to repeat this dedication as often as possible today, at least 4 or 5 times an hour, as well as in answer to any temptation to experience ourselves as subject to other laws throughout the day. To say, I'm under no laws but God's, is our statement of freedom from all danger and all tyranny. Dang. Our statement, I am under no laws but God's, is our acknowledgement that God is our creator and that we, God's creation, is saved, which means safe. Wow. So when we say, I'm under no laws but God's, what we're saying is, I'm not going to enslave myself to tyranny. I'm not going to enslave myself to an evil, sick God called the ego. Okay? I'm under no laws but God's. I'm not bound by what the ego tells me to do. The ego's like, come here, slave. Come here, servant. Here's what you got to sacrifice to get a little crumb. Come over here. And when I say, no, I'm under no laws but God's, God didn't say I need to sacrifice my happiness and freedom and innocence just to get a tiny little crumb. God didn't say I have to do that. Okay, when I remember that, I'm not going to allow myself to be the slave of the ego. Okay? I would only allow myself to be a slave to the ego if I literally believed that, that I'm not under the law, that I would, only if I believed there were other laws, that the ego was God. Okay, so take any problem right now, and think about it. Think about the upset of that problem. And tell yourself, I'm having this problem because I don't realize that I'm under no laws but God's. And tell yourself, God didn't say that if I have this problem, that I'm screwed. God didn't say that if I have this problem, I have to suffer. God didn't say that if I have this problem, I have to be afraid. God didn't say that. So tell yourself that about whatever way that you're not experiencing only happiness and freedom. Like my day today. God didn't say that it's not God's law that if things didn't go my way all day long, that I couldn't be ecstatically happy. That wasn't God's laws. God's law isn't that if I have to wait for what I want, then I can't enjoy myself and be happy while I'm waiting. So he's saying this is your statement of your freedom from all danger and all tyranny. You won't enslave yourself to things that aren't really laws if you remember that. Wow. Okay. Questions, comments? Questions, comments? Wow. Susan says, even in Course in Miracles circles, I hear that. The idea that you gotta give up something for love, that you gotta lose for love. Yeah, Susan says she hears even in Course in Miracles circles that God wants her to sacrifice. And then Bridget says God does not need sacrifice.
She's in the wrong circles.
Jerry says you're in the wrong circles. And now, Susan, next time you hear something like that, say, that doesn't sound like God. I'll tell you a funny little thing that, my dear friend Lynette, we were going to Rhythm Sanctuary this past week, and Lynette was saying that she was raised Southern Baptist. And she was sitting in Sunday school one day, and the bench was wooden, and she said, these seats hurt my butt. And the Sunday school teacher said, that's because you're too skinny. And she said, I know, that doesn't sound like something Jesus would say. And I laughed out loud, and I turned around and I said, and now you say that to yourself every time you say something mean to yourself. And she goes, right on.
Wow.
And so she was saying that part of her knew the truth about God even at that age. Part of her knew that God wouldn't be saying, well, you got to sacrifice in order to, get my love. That doesn't sound like something God would say. God would never say you got to give up something to have something, that you got to lose something, that you got to sacrifice in order to have love. This is reminding us that God's laws say all you have is love, all you deserve is love, no exceptions, no conditions, period, end of story, forever. That's it. That's what the laws of God say. You deserve only love forever. And when you listen to the voice of God instead of the ego, that's all you hear. All you hear is God saying, I love you. You're my own beloved child in whom I'm well pleased. I yearn for you. I miss you. I love you. You are my love. You are my heart. That's all you hear when you really hear the voice for God. You never hear about sacrifice. All right. Okay, good to know. Now we know. Okay, so beautiful. So now I'm just going to do just a 2-minute integration meditation, and then we'll go out and we'll get to practice. All right. Hi, Julie. Hi, Hector. Lovely to see you guys. Thanks for joining this circle, the Course in Miracles circle, you guys. I appreciate it. Okay. So, close your eyes, take a breath. And breathe. Now I want you to bring to your awareness a situation or a relationship right now in your life where you've been suffering, meaning not feeling joy, bliss, abundance, love. And now I want you to look at this situation or relationship, and I want you to look to see what were the so-called laws of lack and limit and you're doomed that you were believing that you had to obey. Like, if I don't have this, I can't be happy. If I don't have them, I can't be happy. If I don't have this, I can't be abundant. I can't be rich. If I don't do this, I can't be healthy. Where was it that you were believing you needed to obey the law of loss and sacrifice in order to have love, have abundance, have freedom, have happiness? What is it you were telling yourself needed to change for you to be happy? What is it you were telling yourself needed to happen for you to be happy? Those are the laws you thought you had to obey for happiness. These are the places where you were looking for happiness outside of yourself and didn't find it. These are the laws you thought you had to obey, that you imprisoned yourself to, thinking you needed it. I want you to tell yourself, this suffering that I've been doing in this area of my life is just a mask. This suffering is just a mask that my own mind is holding up to mask the suffering that's in my mind. And tell yourself, this suffering is coming from my mind's suffering. It's my mind that is suffering. And I want you now to look at and see where it is that your mind has been attacking itself. Where have you been attacking yourself in your mind? In what way have you been attacking yourself in your mind? In what way have you been giving yourself guilt and making yourself feel afraid in your mind? let's take that suffering in our mind and let's take it to our Creator, our loving, unconditionally only loving Creator, and say, Creator, God, Father, Mother, God, you created me. You know what I am. What is the truth about me? How do you feel about me, Father, Mother, God, Creator? Am I really inadequate? Am I really a failure? Am I really evil? Am I really unlovable? Am I really unloving? What's the truth about my mind? What's the truth about me? And listen to the voice for God tell you how your Creator really feels about you. Take a breath and bring your awareness back. All right. Beautiful. Good job, guys. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Way to let yourself hear. Thank you. So happy to be back with you guys. So happy.
Thank you.
Happy you're here. Thank you guys for joining this healing circle. I appreciate it more than I can say. And see you next class.